On today's episode of the Wigan Way podcast, we discuss the Challenge Cup quarter-finals, despite there being no Wigan involvement, which gave us a chance to talk about each game in more depth and talk about how some of the teams involved are doing. We also had our usual eye-catchers and news segment, and then we had a trip down memory lane, speaking about cult heroes in the 2010 Wigan Warriors season. Before we play the Falling Frank, please consider subscribing or following us via the links below. Drop a like and share if you enjoy, and leave a comment with your thoughts on the games. We hope you enjoy the pod.
Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his
The Wigan Way podcast is brought to you by Cherry and White Pins, a local Wigan Warriors themed pin badge company with a variety of Wigan ranges. You can get free shipping on all orders when you use the code The Wigan Way, that's The Wigan Way, all in capitals, at checkout. Thanks to them for supporting the show.
So, we're back this week with another episode of the Wigan Way. Matty, Lewis, nice for you to join us. How's your week been, lads?
Good, yeah. Well, so last week, we're off now for the Easter holidays, so it's been very nice to. We love our jobs, but we also love when we finish.
Yeah, bit of a break. How are you doing, Lewis?
Yeah, all good, mate, all good. Sorry about last week, boys. Thank you for filling in for me. A bit of an emergency, which meant I had to drop out recording the episode last minute, but nice to be back this week. Bit of a weird one, I have no Wigan game to review, but we'll talk a little bit about rugby league and what's happening in the Challenge Cup.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
There's been plenty going on, isn't there, without Wigan playing?
It's not been a quiet week, has it?
No, it's not.
Certainly not.
Right, so as you mentioned, obviously Wigan haven't played. We're going to do a little bit of a different look this week, lads. We're going to start off talking about the Challenge Cup and the 4 games that have happened, the around the grounds. But we've got something a little bit different when we talk about Wigan later on. So stay tuned because we're going to dive into a little bit of
The past.
Wigan history. So let's get into it. Challenge Cup quarter-finals, always a big part of the season.
Yeah, you get to this point, you think a couple of wins from Wembley, that can turn your season around, it can make your fans get really excited.
Well, that's it. You always...
Some of our best memories have been in Challenge Cup quarter-finals. I know one of the first games we always think of when we think about Matty Pete is when we went to Wakefield in Challenge Cup quarter-final and the field scored a hat-trick, and then another one that springs to mind was Warrington away in 2011.
Yeah,
and
Sam scored that blinder.
Sam scored a blinder. Josh scored a long ranger as well. O'Loughlin did a miracle pass again, like he always seemed to around that era. Yeah. So yeah, there's been some memorable Challenge Cup. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, but some memorable Challenge Cup quarterfinals.
But this is it. You have to just play this as a normal game. But once you get through this, you start going, we're 1 win away from Wembley, and then it can start to.
It's when does the excitement set in, doesn't it? Quarters, semis, and then...
Yeah, I think if you win this one, we saw Wigan, didn't we? I think it's 80 minutes from Wembley.
Well, what's interesting is a bit of a neutral Wigan out of it, kind of looking in, is that actually we've had after this week's quarter-final games as well, I'll take it, we are going to run close to the scores and the results, but I can take it, majority of people listening to this know what the draw for the semis has been. Big team's been knocked out. Wigan and Saints, obviously the big two, so it looks like
it's the first time since, I believe, 1980 that Wigan, Saints, Leeds and Bradford aren't one of the 4 semi-finalists.
See, so it's going to be a new name. We know Warrington's won it in the past, obviously Lee, who are in the semis, but...
Catalan have won it.
Catalan have won it as well.
But
recently. Yeah. The last time that happened in 1980, the winners of the cup that year were Hull KR.
Yeah. A newer name on the cup, if you like, rather than it just being, traditional. You just said that Wigan, Saints, Leeds.
That might be worth mentioning. Why do you think we get so many teams, or we get different teams winning the Challenge Cup. We don't really get that with Super League at the moment. Obviously, the historical thing being about the grand final that only 4 teams have won it. What do you think it is about the cup? Is it that it's quite short and you can get to a final really quickly?
Yeah, the Super League teams come in and you've got to win, is it 5?
This year you have to win 5, yeah.
You've got to win 5 games, and I think... I watched the podcast, the League podcast with Lee Breers when he was coaching at Wigan, and he said about Warrington with that. And he said it takes something different to win a grand final compared to winning a cup, because you can get yourself up for 5 games.
Yeah.
You can be good 5 times, but when you've got to play 20 odd league games, your cup games, then the playoffs, and show up on a grand final it matters, and it's 20 odd games. That's a whole different story. It takes a lot of different culture and club ethos to do that.
And we talk about playoff rugby as well. In usually bad weather, playoff rugby. And by the time you get to October, your team is, I wouldn't say on its last legs, but a lot of the time you're using a lot of your squad.
You're missing 3 or 4 players.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily happen in the cup. I mean, it can do, but it doesn't necessarily happen to every team that wins the cup. They can keep everybody fit for 5 games, like you said.
It's just a bit of a weird one, because we always seem to think that like maybe this could be the kickstart of a league success. Look at Huddersfield when they got to the final in 22. Everyone thought, what's it got them there? Could it now start to reflect?
Catalans, when they won it, yeah.
They ended up getting to 2 grand finals, and Lee got there. Could that now transcend into Challenge Cup success? Warrington have never been able to go on and get that grand final so far.
No, but they did make quite a few grand finals after those period where they were dominant in the cup. Hull were dominant in the cup for a while, but never really made a grand final after that. No, they made one before that. But you know, there's not been. I don't think there's been a team that's won the cup and used it as a launching pad apart from Catalans. You know, like a new team has won the cup and then got to 2 grand finals pretty shortly after in short order. I can't think of a team that's... Warrington, maybe Warrington, yeah, although they were kind of at the same time.
I think it's hard as well, because like, think about like Watson with Tottenham and Huddersfield versus us when we beat them at Tottenham. It's hard, I think, because sometimes, especially when you lose the final, even though you're thinking, when we got to the final, so we can kick on and get to the final again and win it, or possibly even make a win in the league. I think sometimes you can see it as like a missed opportunity to win silverware. It's a bit like our chance has come and gone now. That was our chance to do something, to put our name in history, and it's been and gone. We blew it all. Let's try and pick yourself up again next season when you've kind of viewed it as a missed opportunity.
That's why I like the Challenge Cup being early. That when it used to be in August, I didn't used to like that when it was in August.
Can derail you,
because you felt like you've won it or lost it, whatever. You only got 6 league games left, so the hangover from winning or losing it psychologically bleeds into the playoffs. Then they put it in May for that Tottenham one you were saying, and Huddersfield did bounce back and finish 4th that year. It is worth saying.
It's definitely better now.
It's better. Well, it's in June, isn't it? Now.
Yeah, I would like.
It felt right last year in June, I think.
Yeah.
I think June was right, but they just need to keep it in June if they're going to stick with a month.
Just stick with it, and then you know what?
It's better than August. Definitely better than August.
Yeah.
Because like when it was in August up to 2023. Because when Lee won it, that was in August.
It was, yeah. Sorry.
So when we won it in 22, it was in May. Then when Lee won it, it was in August. Then when we won it in 24, it was in June. So it was in 3 different months in
3 consecutive
years.
Yeah. And I just it doesn't build momentum. You should make May or June the Challenge Cup month.
Have the semi-finals at the start of the month and the final at the end of the month, maybe.
I think that would work for me. But right, let's get into these games, because obviously there's 4 quarterfinals, 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Now the first 2 weren't on the BBC, and it was Catalans versus Salford. Catalans winning 20 points to 12.
This one didn't have a video ref. The other 3 did.
Don't get that.
That's strange. Any reason why?
I thought that was strange. I don't know the reason.
Because was it played at Catalan?
It was in Catalan.
That must be the reason.
Had something to do with it.
Maybe.
But I don't like that.
Was it? It wasn't on telly, was it?
It wasn't on telly. A lot of Salford fans were watching it because a guy who went live streamed it on Facebook.
I did see that, yeah.
And fair play, so people can actually watch this game.
People could watch it.
But when we played Hull FC, we didn't have the captain's challenge.
But we had a
All
video. We had a video ref, but he didn't go to the screen for any tries.
I don't think we had a video ref, did we? I think it was just a screen that Wigan provided because it's a part of the facilities.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think it was like an official.
He didn't need it
Video.
for any tries, so I guess maybe he didn't have one.
I don't think he had a video ref, but I'd always
Did he not send Asiata off by video ref? Did video ref not
no.
come in for that when he had the high shot?
No,
Because he gobbed off, didn't he?
Yeah.
He gave him a yellow card for his reaction to the high shot.
There was only 2 games on Challenge Cup and they had video refs, but they didn't have Captain's Challenge. The way that it used to be.
Our game was on telly that round.
That's odd.
I think
I'm
we had
almost
video
sure we
ref.
didn't have Challenge Cup video ref. But the point being is you then have Captain's Challenge in this round, the quarter final,
But not at Catalan.
but not at Catalan and Salford. And they had a video ref at Wakefield and Leigh. But
Warrington.
And the other 2 games because they were on BBC. But did they have Captain's Challenge?
I don't know.
I don't like that. And why was that game different? I understand it previously because there's still
Hull KR and Hull definitely did Captain's Challenge because Lewis challenged one, didn't he, successfully?
so did St Helens and Warrington.
Yeah.
But I just don't. The round before, I get it because you're saying, well, you might end up going away to a League One club in theory if the draws worked out a certain
Yeah,
way.
you could have in this round in theory.
In theory.
You could have a League One team in the quarterfinal in theory.
But realistically, if you're saying in the quarterfinals, we've got to have it, then that makes sense. But you've got to have it in all 4 games. I don't like that. Salford put up a good fight. 20 points to 12. Obviously, a lot of speculation about what's going on there. We've talked about Salford a lot.
Yeah, this was interesting. Catalan paid for everything, so this game could go ahead. Paid for all the players and officials' travel and accommodation. And after the game, I think some people were trying to get McNamara to give a bit of sympathy, and he kind of said, "Well, maybe, but also we just paid loads of money so this game could go ahead. Like, can't do that every week." So
No.
I could see where he was coming from. He looked a bit grumpy with his answer, and it made him look like a bit of a villain. But I could see where he was coming from. Catalan are out of pocket because of Salford's trouble.
Financial issues. Yeah.
So I can see what he meant.
Catalan for doing that.
Fair play to him.
Yeah,
They didn't have to do that.
No.
What would happen if they didn't?
Well, Catalan, I suppose, would get a walk-off, but they don't want to win like that. Some clubs would do that.
Yeah.
But does McNamara strike you as somebody who would want to win by a walkover? No. No. He doesn't strike me as that either.
I just think it's unfair to put Catalan in that position. Really. But you know what? It's done. Can't do anything about it.
Fair play for Catalans, like you say, for letting the game, making it so the game can go ahead.
And they won.
It's
Yeah,
a
but
dire
it's
situation for Salford, though, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about.
We'll talk about them
Salford
in the news section
Yeah.
because there's been another few outgoings.
And more talk.
And more delays. But we'll talk more about them in the next section.
Let's move over.
Catalan, I just want to say before we move on, I know they got the win here. They'll want to get the combinations firing because if they can't get the 1, 6 and 7 combining, then
I'm sure I read that this was only the second time that the 1679 was the same 1679.
well, that's why it's important for the game to go ahead. Catalan need it for continuity because Catalans, they're not out of the league. It's so early. People have written them off. It's so early. Catalan have got a chance.
Yeah, they sneak in at 5 or 6.
Well, I don't even know if they'll be sneaking in. If they have a good run,
Oh, yeah.
they've got to get that combination because you think their spine, they've got some good players. 1, 6, 7 good players.
They're a bit like Lee. They can be a bit of a dark horse any
Yeah.
day. They're not going to be an easy game, are they? There's
No.
definitely a team you can't underestimate instead of having a bad season. Don't worry, it's an easy 2-point seat when you play them, or it's an easy cup win or whatever.
And if they can get Farge and Pearce playing well together, or whoever it is.
Kieran.
Sorry, Kieran. Not Pearce.
Whichever Aussie they've signed.
Well, they just have an Aussie at 7, don't they? Maloney, Pearce.
Normally a 30-odd-year-old
Yeah.
Aussie as well.
Yeah.
It's not Maloney, it's Pearce or Keane.
And he used to play for the Roosters. All 3 of them used to play for
Yeah.
the Roosters as well. So whoever's next, Sam
When-
Walker, you come on down, son. You're next. Catalan's
Chad Townsend.
Yeah,
You're Chad Townsend next year.
when you're 35.
Yeah. So that's why I got them confused. But if you can get them two in the halves playing well, Sam Tompkins is going to be Sam Tompkins for all the games he plays.
He'll win your games if you give him the chance. He'll win your games.
And their pack we saw against St Helens, we spoke about. Who were here for this one, Lewis, where we spoke about their pack offloading it and playing that sort of game that doesn't really suit when we go and play them. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that not being the case when we play them. But that pack where it's just dangerous, they're going to offload everything. Yeah. And you can
There's some big bodies.
They could offload it. They could run you over. Maybe they won't win when it gets difficult in October with the tough conditions, but they're not going to be an easy win.
No,
they'll make it tough.
Right, should we move on?
Yeah.
Wakefield at Wakefield. Now, what I really liked about this tie, I've got to be honest, they played each other last week.
Yeah, you always like that, don't you? When the two teams play twice in a row.
Obviously, the fact it happened with us and Warrington in the final. Last week in the cup, in the league, Wakefield blew Lee away 40 points to 14. Lee have got the win, 20 points to 12, a much closer game.
Had some twists and turns this game.
Yeah.
It was like a BBC crime drama. With the twists and turns, it was like, well, one team's taking a lead, then the other team fights back and then back to the other team. Then Lee end up on top with a good end to the match.
Yeah, and I think this is a big win for Lee. We've talked about the changing squad. We've talked about they came up, they won the cup, then they finished 6th in the first year. Fifth. Then last year they did okay in the cup but finished 5th again, so that's really good. And then everyone talks about this drop-off, that they've moved 5 or 6 players on and they were going to have this drop-off. Well, they're fighting all right in the league. They're sat in the semi-final of the cup. They'll fancy themselves.
Beat us at Wigan since the first time since 1984.
Like, actually, this is really a good position for them to be in.
Well, again, we spoke before about how wide open, you said, Lewis, how wide open this cup is now with the Final Four. You're thinking, well, I could make an argument for all of them winning it, or at least all of them getting to the final.
Yeah.
Leo fancy the chances. Especially as the most recent winners of this competition.
Each team can beat any other team.
I agree.
On the day,
I agree.
It's not where you're thinking, they're the standout winners now. It's like, actually, if Lee show up, they could beat the other 3 teams. Wyatt can beat the other 3 teams. Catalan, if they show up, have got the quality to beat the other 3 teams. And to point with Lee Dukes, I agree with you. They're probably, and this is no disrespect to them, but overachieving. I'm someone who did think they was going to struggle this year with the amount of players that went, and it was a bit of a transitional year for them. And the challenge for them was to keep it up. And it's not that I don't want them to. I like watching Lee. I think actually, on the eye, Lee are one of the best teams to watch when they shifted towards the left-hand side. They play some fantastic attacking rugby for the neutral. It must be such a good team to watch and excite you. I don't want
see
them
Lee
to
on
fall.
Sky, don't you, and go,
I watch that.
man.
Yeah. If it's the Magic Weekend, I want Lee to be playing when I'm there, you know what I mean?
They look, man, and that was the challenge. Can they keep doing it? And I just hope it does go all season. They have another competitive season. They don't slope off. Or if they do have if they look like they're having a good cup run, if they do manage to win the next and get to the final, it doesn't derail them a bit, because I like them competitively where they show up and give everybody a game and play some nice rugby. It's what you want to see, isn't it?
We'll talk about it in the news, but with potential new leagues forming and teams getting invitations, you want to make yourself look indispensable. You want to make yourself look like an important part of the furniture. And if you win the oldest knockout cup competition in the United Kingdom,
and you've won it twice.
And you've won it twice in 3 years, and you make the playoffs, all of a sudden, you can't take that team out of the league.
No.
You have to give them an invitation.
100%.
Right, we're going to move on. Wakefield, we should say. Obviously, done really well to get to the quarterfinals,
Wakefield have lost every home match and won every away match. How unusual is that?
That is unusual.
That's very unusual. They shouldn't have done all that making the stadium nice.
Made it nice for the opposition.
I know. Made it too nice. We've gone too far, lads.
Right, can we jump up to Saturday?
Get those year 6 benches. Get those year 6 benches back out.
Get the deck chairs back out for the bench. Get them wrestling in Conservative Club again. Very humbly.
Oh, they might still be doing that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I won't put it past them. Right, the whole derby. Still can't believe he got sacked for vaping in the top.
He got sacked for vaping. No, he wasn't in a toilet. He was on.
Was it vaping at half time?
He was at half time in the sheds. He got his vape, but then also like an idiot, he put it on social media.
Yeah, weird times that for rugby league. Right, Saturday, the whole derby. Hull vs KR. KR winning 32 points to 16. It was 30-0 at one point.
They blew them away in the first
Yeah.
half, didn't they? You just felt like Hull FC were hanging on. Can they keep it 6-0? No. Can they keep it 12? No. Can they keep it 18?
Well, that was it. We'll talk about double tries and tries at half time.
Just before half time, there was some Burgess scored, didn't they?
They scored at 24 minutes and then scored at 27. So suddenly it's gone from 0-0
Double try.
to 12-0 in the space of 5 minutes. And then they scored in the 38th minute.
Yeah.
And that's just a killer. It taking it to 18 points to 0. If you're going at 12, you think, score next and we're right in this.
This was
18 is just...
big performance from, I'll give away, spoiler alert, the player of the week, Jez Litton. Who knew he could do that in the halves? He was unbelievable. Well, McIlroy had to do 80 minutes, which he did very well.
Well, this is going to be an interesting one. We might as well talk about it now. Obviously, we play Hull KR this week. Mikey Lewis won't be playing.
No, it looked like a poacher had shot him.
Yes. Going to miss a few weeks.
Running
and then
through
he said,
support play. He was supporting Burgess, wasn't he? It just looked like he'd been shot, fell down to the ground. Groin issue. It looked like...
Them never look good to me. You know, when you can't stop and your momentum's there, you can't even push
No, but
to stop.
he was running, doing cone drills in the second half.
Yeah.
Oh, that was before half time, wasn't it?
Bit of a fitness test.
When he was doing them cone drills, and then he said he wasn't coming back on, and he put that big coat on, and now he's not playing this week. Just all a bit weird, that, but I don't think it's that serious if he was doing them cone drills.
No, it'll be out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting what they do. Does Jez Litton stay at 7?
I don't think Jez Litton will stay at 7 because then you're asking McIlroy to do 80 minutes every week.
Yeah.
Which maybe he could do as a one-off, but it's been a long time since he's done 80 minutes every week, isn't it, McIlroy?
Yeah, he's getting on now, isn't he?
It's been a long time since he's been asked to do that.
Hull FC, I want to mention here, because I think Hull FC last season get blown away 50-odd, 60-odd points to the half time.
The honest truth is, Hull FC last year don't even get in this position.
No,
they
but
might
I know
not
what
have
he
even played
means.
us.
I know what he means.
No, I get what you mean, but I mean, like, they're doing this a lot and they've come back from behind and won a lot of games. Don't get me wrong, you can't do it every week. There's going to time that, and probably this is the week when it comes back to bite you, it gets too far away and you can't bring it back. But they're just showing a bit of character and a bit of fight just to stay in the contest and a bit of character not to give up. And if they do that, even if they're not winning the derby, the fans can get behind it. There's something there to build. You can see the effort, you can see the character, you can say, you know what, we didn't go our way, we got blown away for stuff, but lads didn't give up. Whereas last season, I don't think they could say that. They were saying this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you mean.
I've got a wheel for all I was thinking about this during the game. They look at the best when SASA comes back off the bench in the second spell and does 30 minutes till the end of the game.
A bit like Parsi
Yeah.
for Saints.
Do you not think... but he can very easily do 60, 70 minutes. He's doing 30 minutes at the start, 35 minutes, having 5 minutes, half time, and then 10 minutes and coming back on.
He's rare, isn't he? He's a bit of a unicorn, SASA, because he's a big prop that's hard to handle and he does good minutes.
I actually think there's a world here where he comes on after 10, 15 minutes and they start him on the bench.
Oh, you think start from the bench?
Because Hull FC really drop when he goes off.
Yeah, so you'd have to start somebody like Jack Ashworth
But
as a steady.
and just ask him to tackle.
And just
20
be steady.
minutes, just tackle.
Maybe. Yeah,
I do
maybe.
like Jack Ashford.
Yeah, I know
He's
you
good prop.
mentioned before
Yeah,
you like
I do
him.
like
He's a
good
steady prop, isn't he?
But I just think at the beginning when both teams are fired up and they're going after him, he sort of leads that pack by himself.
You need to have him on, I think, because if you're in the derby, you need somebody to match up with Hull KR's prop forwards, Sue and Warrior Hargraves. And if you don't have SASA on, then I'm no disrespect to Ashworth, who is a steady prop. He's not the one to...
But who started alongside SASA this week?
It's going to be Knight. How does he come off bench?
Knight started. He is the kind of prop that would go against them. Because he's just going to make a million tackles.
That's what I mean.
And not miss any.
So if you could just put 2 workers on and then go, actually, they don't even have Tanganoa coming off the bench.
No,
Who's the big threat off the bench? Who's been starting? Just to give you some oomph, because my thing is I like looking at benches before the game.
Yeah.
Because you see a couple of teams, you go...
Nowadays,
"Ooh."
it's such a difference maker if you bring some big bodies off the bench.
Yeah. When Saints bring Parsi off, and I know Parsi's not as good as what he used to be 2-3 years ago.
Though they had a big injury in him, which is
And that's effective. But you look at a bench and go...
He's still effective when he comes on, though, Parsi.
But it's just when you look at a bench, you go, oh, we're not getting a let up here. We're not getting a 25-minute period.
And like what we spoke about when it was Saints against Hull KR, and you had Walmsley off and Parsi off and Knowles off all at the same time, you think, got to get them on. Got to have one of them on. You've got to use your subs better than that.
And you must look at Wigan and go, actually, so the other week, who do we have on the bench? It was Mago, Walters, Dupree. We're not getting a break here.
No, but your best chance, really, is against Wigan. Has to be to match up the first 20 minutes, and then Mago can't break the game open, and Walters can't break the game open. Because if you bring them lads on and it's still even Stevens and you've got to ask them to be steady, that's a bit more difficult. You know, that's not what they...
But I mean, you think you're taking Thompson and Ellis off for Wigan. You're not getting a let up. You're not going to get someone you think you can run over. Not as good as them two. They are our two best forwards with Havard and whatever. But I just think you look at a bench, and when a bench is strong, you go.
We have got a strong bench this year. I said that when everyone's fit. I said that. That's why I was so confident about Vegas, because I thought Warrington actually 1-13 got a good 1-13, but I looked at the benches and thought, well, Wigan's bench is so much stronger than that game. And the game went a different way, but it still stands to reason. You know, my reason for being so confident before the game was the bench. And in a big game, if we have Walters and Mago and Byrne on the bench, for example, or Dupree and Byrne, I'm confident, you know, with those players on the bench.
I just always look at it and go, if this game's 0-0 after 20 and you have to turn to your bench, who are you excited for?
I'm bringing on Tyler Dupree, I'm bringing on Byrne, or whoever it is, Harvey Hill, whoever he is on the bench.
Yeah.
We've got good bench players.
Right. So Hull KR through there. Final game, Warrington St Helens. Warrington winning 22 points to 12.
Yeah. But another close game, which I know was settled by 2 scores, but late.
Yeah.
It was 1-score game till very late.
It's
good win for Warrington.
I think this is a fair reflection of the two teams. I think Warrington are an 8-point. Over 80 minutes, they're probably 8 to 10 points better than.
Yeah, good call. I think you're right.
From watching this game, the thing I get is Saints are really struggling with an on-field kicker.
A general.
For a garden round. I don't think they know who's doing it. And it pains me to say this because it's what Jonathan Davies was saying in commentary all game. I don't normally go to Jonathan Davies for league advice, but I think there's an old saying, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
A blind squirrel, every so often, can find a nut.
So that's what I mean. So I think, broken clock's right twice a day, or whatever phrase you want to use. But I think he was right. You know, the majority of your sets in a game end with a kick. You don't score at the end. You probably don't make a mistake. You're on a high completion rate. That means you're going to be kicking up fifth and last tackle more times than not. When you've not got someone to do that job, when that's how the majority of your sets end, you are in trouble.
I just checked something then. And I thought I noticed it, but Clark obviously came off the bench and Mbaye started at 9.
They did that in France as well.
I think that's possibly a tactical thing of Clark might not be an 80-minute 9 anymore.
No, and always Clark was good coming off the bench, even back when he was playing for Cass.
Yeah, he's a Danny Walker style. He's a Cruz Leeming, come off the bench when tired defences.
But I think he has turned himself into an all-round man since then, especially the last few years at Warrington. He was an all-rounder.
Yeah. But Mbaye starting, he did so much of the kicking. Imagine saying we're not going to put our starting hooker at the play of the ball on the last tackle so he can kick. Now, Mbaye's played everywhere in the now. He's played a bit of fullback, he's played a bit in the halves, he's played a bit of centre.
He played centre for the Tigers.
I just look at it and I go,
if Mbaye's going to be a long kicker,
you
need Darryl Clark on the pitch as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but he might actually have to play in the halves. And to look at Tristan Saylor, everything that Saylor's done well has been what a fullback does.
Yeah. Supporting
back on the inside, chasing kicks. He opened the scoring, didn't he, after how long? Oh, sorry, he didn't open the score. He scored
For
Saints'
Saints,
first one.
yeah, Saints' his
And he had a
first one.
chance really early where he pulled the ball back. A lot of that is full back play, chasing kicks,
Yeah.
being the third man to loop round. He isn't a Lewis Dodd replacement.
No, he's not. No. No, if anything, he's a Wellesby replacement, but
Yeah.
Wellesby still plays for a team and still playing well.
And you could almost ask him to do a Bevan French role, and I'm putting that in inverted commas, but be the creative halfback.
Kick one every 10,
Yeah,
12.
to just take some pressure
to
off.
take some pressure off your main kicker.
But Lomax has never been a long kicker.
Not really.
He's never been... to me, he's always been the give it to me and let me take it to the line.
Let me
I'll
score.
step it
I'll
out.
score within 10 metres.
Yeah.
Or I'll
make a go. I'll pass well.
I'll put a nice kick in.
It's like I say, Sailor's
Close to
try.
line.
Yeah, Sailor's try to go off a little grubber in behind that he's managed to ground, hasn't he? A little short kick. But I'm talking when you pin back, which Warrington were doing well in this
Long
game.
kicks.
There's no one there to kick you out of
That's the
trouble.
blueprint.
And it was just, I think, for the opening, probably till Sailor's try, and that was it, saying on my Sky Sports News at 38-minute mark. That first half, the 30 minutes, it was all Warrington, and Saints just couldn't get out. Because even though they do have the good meeting makes, like you say, your Percival going in behind what you mentioned before, Dukesy and all the rest of it, and you got Walmsley making breaks running over the top of people, when it comes to like, again, fourth or fifth, they're trying to put kicks in, and it's just not really going anywhere, and it's straight down the full back of the winger's throat.
Yeah.
And then by the time Ashton duffed it, and I can't even remember the wing now for off the top of my head, but they were starting the line on the either 40 or halfway line.
Well, I was thinking when I was watching this,
It just invites pressure.
is Duffy got such good positioning that he can gather every kick on the full, or is it just bad kicking?
Probably a bit of both.
It's
It's
probably a bit of
quick
both,
and
yeah.
he can cover ground because of that when he's got the pace. But yeah,
It felt like he was getting to everything on the full
Yeah.
and bringing it back.
Sorry.
started sets like I say on the 40 or halfway line.
You've got in
at
good field
times.
position. You're going to put an attacking kick in, and no team can keep defending.
And that's the thing. That's probably why this game, like you said, when it's close to the end, because when you've got to do that all half,
Yeah.
it catches up to you. And
Yeah.
towards the end of the game, you're going to get tired of having 30 minutes in your own half or on your own line. That will take its toll over the course of the 80 minutes.
To talk about long kicking, look at when Snead's kicking long. You don't think he's just kicking it. You think he's kicking it to that corner.
Snead. Yeah, he's
Snead,
good.
Harry Smith, when he's kicking long, they're trying to put you in that corner. Now, it might not be perfect every time, but Snead, they're not just whacking it.
Yeah.
Wellesby's doing a lot of the long kicking, and you just think he's just going,
I think.
I've just got to hit it as far as I can.
John Smith style.
Almost, if I kick it dead, I'll take a 20 metre tap 7.
Before we talk about Warrington, the damning statistic on St Helens, and I think this is what's going to cost Paul Wellens his job, unfortunately, for him, is it's been 12 months since last Good Friday.
Yeah.
It's the late Easter this year. It's been exactly 12 months since last Good Friday on this game. And that's the last time they beat a top 3 team. Wigan, St Helens, Wigan, Warrington, or Hull KR, sorry. They've lost 13 in a row now against those teams. That's
So they played them 13 times since
since Good Friday.
last year.
Since last Good Friday, they played Wigan twice, I assume, and Warrington and Hull KR somehow all these times, because I know they played Warrington in the Cup twice.
Loop fixtures as well.
And they played Warrington in the playoffs and the loop fixtures or whatever. So there's going to be 13, I think, is the number now. They've lost to Warrington 6 times in a row.
It's the manner of losses as well.
When did we see them lose to Warrington 6 times? Warrington have never had that over Saints in all our lifetimes. And I think that is what Wellens is going to be judged upon. He's going to be judged upon, can he beat the teams that finished above him last year?
That's a staggering start. That.
Yeah.
13 games.
Yeah, and not won one.
Yeah.
I'm sure the number's 13 because somebody was
No,
more
it
invested.
sounds about that, to be fair.
And that's, in 12 months, you play those 3 teams 13 times. That sounds right. And to not win one of them, and it is. And I know they got to golden point against Warrington in the playoffs last year, but that's got to be what you judged upon. Big games, and he's also, somebody else was saying, one of our other Saints fans was saying, he won the World Club Challenge in his first game in charge, and since then they've not made a final. Out of 5 attempts now, for 5 trophies, they've not made a final. Not won one. They've not made a final. And Hull KR have made a final. Warrington have made a final. Wigan have made a final. Catalan have made a final. Lee,
the teams that are around them have all at least made a final or won something.
Do you put them fourth? I would. I would say Wigan, Wyre and Hull KR at the minute are all better than St. Helens. They would be my fourth ranked team.
But would they be your fourth ranked team? Would they be ahead of Lee?
Are they a standout fourth?
I think they are. I think they're better than Catalan. I think they're better than Lee. They're better than Salford now.
Yeah.
I think they are. I think they're fourth.
What I will say about them is if you say to me they played Lee and you don't tell me who's won, but you say the result's 30 points to 10, I think Lee have won that game. Because I don't think Saints can get 30 points.
That is true.
If you say it's 8-4,
That's Saints.
Saints could win that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But if they start being tries, I don't think they can score. And when you look at the firepower they have, they should get points.
It'd be interesting next week with John. Obviously, they play this week as well, but it'd be interesting when we see them live for the first time. This new look sort of Saints team with Sailor. How they look.
I know.
It's a weird one that though when you say that. Sorry, I know we're going to be discussing this next. It'll be a long segment. This, but it's weird how he's having. Because I'm reading myself through the team now, right? And like just they get points, or they should get points. Look at the cap. Where? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think Benison's a 20 try scorer.
I thought Felt at the start of the year. Now, obviously, he's got 3 months of injury. I thought Felt when they got close to the line, they've got good kickers close to the line. Felt is dynamic in the air and he's a good finisher. I think obviously they're missing him. They've not got Murphy either.
But you look through that side. Jack Wellesby, he should get points. He should be setting points up.
Yeah.
Carl Felt finished second on the try list last year in the NRL, or was it third? Might have been third.
It was second, I think.
Right. Lewis Murphy, we've seen over here as an exciting talent, injured. John Benison is a backup.
Yeah, but a good backup.
A good backup.
He's a good backup,
steady.
isn't he?
Right. Percival is a standout centre in Super League over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
For metres, tries, being an attacking, kicking threat. Harry Robertson is an exciting young centre, fullback, whatever, a Fleur. We've seen excitement from him.
Yeah.
With the two halfbacks, Sailor, he's an exciting player, playing fullback, getting points. How many tries is he on this year? 8 or 9, but they've all been fullback tries. Lomax. How many tries is Lomax on in Super League 3? He must be on over 100, easy.
Yeah, you think so.
And
try assist as well, he's
try assist.
Short kicking game.
Concatry now though, isn't he?
He is a bit.
Yeah.
By that I mean old, by the way, listeners. He's older than Concatry.
But my point being is Wilkin said it right the other week and it annoys me, agreeing with John Wilkin. But they spent so long under Wolf and the start of Wellens being bigger and stronger and bullying teams into field position and then just crashing over that I don't think they know how to use this. We talked the other day off the podcast, Lewis, when Saints started to look like they kept running out of room. They didn't know how to go through the hands.
They played, I noticed in this game, they were very, one of the best pieces of coaching advice I ever got when I was playing was about like playing straight. So even when you have someone out the back,
yeah,
we used to get lead extras, X-balls, whatever you want to call them. Even when you have someone at the back, the tip is don't keep running sideways because you cut off the space. You've got to, obviously as the pass goes behind the lead man, then you've got to straighten up because that's what makes the defender plant his feet. Then you go at the back again, and that's why you get the space so wide, because you play straight. If you just keep running sideways, which Saints do, why you just go, no worries, we'll just slide.
Yeah.
You keep running that way, because you're going to take the space off the centre and winger, and we're going to throw you in touch, which they did multiple times.
And that's the problem that it's hard to see from the stand. You know, a lot of the shouts are, oh, go wide, pass it out,
Get it out wide.
And when someone takes a straight, someone straightens up, there's moaning and groaning. But this straightening up is the right option. That
Whaley talks about it all the time, playing straight.
Go north, south, play straight.
Yeah. My favourite thing is when Cade Ellis, Smith or French tackle 3, set a bit of shape up and they just go.
Yeah.
Just get tackled. Because you keep everyone honest.
It keeps everybody honest. It means you can't slide.
Saints are so good at either going straight, which is when they play Walmsley, Percival, nailing you.
And they could just roll teams.
But then they almost can't go forward and sideways at the same time. They can't, from 15 out, we'll go and finish in that corner.
So like what Lee is so good at.
Yeah.
But I think this is the thing as well. I do take it, but injuries aren't helping. If you have a full, and it's easy to say everybody in an ideal situation, if every team's got a full fit team, the better. Of course, that's obvious. But when I look at the squad that played against Warrington, especially the back line, besides Wellesby, I'm thinking they're struggling for points. Sambu, young winger. They had Whitley at centre.
Yeah, not really a centre, not try scorer.
They've got Percival, alright, he could crash over, maybe get on the end of a kick, but again, he's not a 10
another Concatree as well.
And another Concatree. Then, other wing, they had Benison, he's not a 20 try winger, like a Liam Marshall is or someone like that.
No, he's a backup.
I think they're struggling for points.
I know what you mean.
Have to back your defence and...
Yeah.
It's tough, and like you said, when teams do it, like you just mentioned then, if it was 30 points to 10, you'd think it was the opposition who beats it. It's 30 points to 10, and I think that's why.
You'd certainly think Warrington would be putting the 30 on.
Yeah.
And no Saints. I know. Good game though, and you see, the Saints played well. That's why I'm a little hesitant to do so much criticism, because, and the fans I think have criticised too much. I think they played well. But the big difference was the general for both teams.
Yeah.
And that can win you a game just by itself.
Mark Sneed has made George Williams a better player.
It was an even game, and I think that the absence of a Sneed kind of general for Saints was the reason they lost. I don't think they were beaten soundly in this one at all.
That was my point. Sneed with Williams has made Williams better. He has freed him up to do what he needs to do, get points. If you put Sneed with Lomax or Sneed with Taylor, both of them become a better player immediately just by having Sneed next to them.
But let's talk about Warrington for very briefly. Warrington now have got to make the final. This is a great chance for them. Great chance. They've got to make the final, and they've got to make it count this time.
Yeah, they've got the experience of getting there.
And I think it was a big win, this, because they've been on a hangover since Vegas, haven't they? They've been a bit like us, really. For obviously the way they get Salford, but I think both teams struggled when they came back to the UK.
And the NRL teams have struggled interestingly as well. Penrith lost 4 in a row now, or 5?
I think it's 5 in a row.
5 in a row now.
So it's taken it out to the teams who travelled to Vegas and went, which again you'd take for the experience of going to Vegas anyway. But
and if you win in Vegas,
well, definitely.
Yeah.
But so I think this is it. This is where they need to kind of get they've won a big game now against Saints. They've reached the semi-final of a cup. This should be them getting their season back on track for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, has to be. Right, we'll take a break there. When we come back, we'll talk about the news and news on Wigan. Matty, you've had your weekly look around rugby league. What's caught your eye this week, pal?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll go try the week first. I never really do these in any order. I just decide on the spot what order I'm going to do. I'll do try the week first. It's Canberra versus Cronulla, and the match-winning try for Canberra scored by Seb Chris, but goes through 9 sets of hands and a kick, 3 or 4 offloads. It's essentially the desperation play that it never works, but it actually worked. And it's worth watching this just because it's a match-winning try. It's worth watching for Ricky Stewart diving all over the bench when they score it. And I love Ricky Stewart, and he's funny, just diving everywhere. And Seb Chris, really underrated player. I really like him a lot, and it was good to see him get the winning try against Cronulla. Doing well, aren't they, Canberra? With that try, what do you make of that try, boys?
I really like it. There's nothing like playing a game under desperate circumstances. And in this case, there was still a couple of minutes. They might have got one more set, maybe half a set.
I think there was 70 seconds left.
They might have got 2 tackles. But you have to do it then. You have to score then. That's your chance. And from deep as well, not having field position always makes it better.
Yeah.
And they're the one which you watch sport for, innit? Like, the game and try never comes off, you just throw it around the pair, but it finally does.
Yeah.
Or the last minute goal, that's how the game, and literally the last kick of the ball, or whatever it might be. They're the reasons you watch professional sport moments like that. Those things.
You got to spot on that.
My shot of the week, well, Lewis, what do you reckon you could guess this week? Because it was an easy choice this week. Who do you think I've gone for this week? For shot of the week?
You know how much I love big hits.
Yeah, I do.
And this was a very big hit. It hit him so hard he forgot to kick the ball. It was amazing. You're going with Cohen Hess's tackle.
I am.
On Nathan Cleary. He sets up, goes for the kick. Cohen has a big second rower. Love it. Dips that shoulder. Rocks that baby from the inside. Cleary's looking at his boot. He ends up nowhere near the ball because he has been taken out with a big shoulder.
He gets the old ball with the fresh air, Ric Flair, completely misses it, and Cohen Hess gets the adulation for smoking the best player in the world out of his boots.
There's something else to remember with this, though. The Panthers had to score. They were keeping the ball alive.
They were keeping the ball alive, yeah.
And they were trying to score, and they'd gone down the right-hand side.
It felt like an age ago because it was last Thursday.
But they were stripped on the on the left-hand side. And Cleary's looking to just kick it across field, where it's like a 6v3.
Yeah, he probably would have scored if he put the kick in.
So it's not only just a shot; it's a try-saving shot.
So sometimes I choose between a big hit and a try-saver, and this week I've chosen both.
I love big hits.
Yeah, well, I love try-savers, and we're both happy this week because Cohen Hess has essentially done both.
Best of both.
By smashing Cleary. And then Paul Alamotti didn't give... Was it Alamotti that did the 2-on-1? No, it wasn't. Who didn't pass the... Oh, Casey McLean didn't pass on the 2-on-1, and then Alamotti nearly scored in the corner.
Yeah.
Well, it's the third time we've spoken about Penrith nearly scoring in the last second, and it was a no try in the video ref.
Well, even though is it 5 from 5, like 5 losses from 5,
they've nearly won all the game. They've had a chance to win all the game.
Yeah, there's only been one game where they've been really
embarrassed.
Yeah,
interesting. And player of the week, I mentioned it before, but Jez Litton.
If you was watching that game and didn't think about putting a bet on Jez Litton for man of the match with John Keir's response,
John Keir had a great answer, didn't he? Well, I can only give it to one man. Gotta be Jez Litton. I think Mikey Lewis will have to get used to watching this game from the bench.
One of the best players in Super League.
One of the best players. I'll have to get used to watching it from the bench. Jez Litton was fantastic in that game, though, in an unusual position.
Do you think that sometimes helps a player? You know, when Hull FC would never have planned for Jez Litton to be playing 6.
No.
And you sort of think, listen, we're going to defend Mikey Lewis this way, we're going to defend May this way.
What he did was he kept it simple. So they should be able to deal with that, really.
I just think sometimes when you see that there's a different threat there, then you think he's just going to give it early to Tanganoa or he doesn't really want the ball.
No, it was great, Jez Litton.
Just message your plans up a little bit. Right, Lewis, you weren't here last week. We covered the news for you. We stepped up. Can you enlighten us? What's going on?
I'm back in as the main news anchor. Let's start off with Salford. A couple of pieces of news coming out of Salford. First one is that Bullock is out to Barrow.
Barrow, yeah.
On loan, I believe.
2 weeks.
Hard to think again, this isn't... I'm guessing, obviously, if it's a loan, part of the wages will be covered, so...
Yeah,
this might be, again, a bit of a financial thing to save a little bit of money in the short term.
There have been a few loans.
It's hard to think now with Salford. Any transfers, but a player going out is not a money saving. You know what I mean? Some kind of financial gain.
The thing is he outside of the sustainability cap?
Well, he's not, but... I don't know. I don't know is the answer.
Well, if he's not played a game for him, he'll be outside of that.
He's going back to injury. It makes sense to put him... If you're going to have this investment in the middle of April, which apparently has been put back near to the end of April... If you're going to have this investment coming at the end of April, then you get all these lads back on loan, then you can have at least field of 13
fit players.
Of fit players who are,
match
Super
ready.
League standard and are match ready because they've been playing on loan like Bullock.
Well, we don't really talk about Salford in the news that much, do we? At the moment.
Well, the other key piece of news
when
is
Lewis
that...
said that there was Salford news, then I was like...
again. Other key piece of news is that Watkins is back at Leeds. Which has been announced. So he is back.
The 25 grand for Callum Watkins in this day and age is a good deal.
It's a really good deal.
It's a good deal because they needed somebody like that.
It's a second row centre option.
I think he's off contract, isn't he? So you got Callum Watkins for 6 months and he's 25 grand. I don't think that's not a terrible deal for Leeds. I know Sneed was 75. I think they're both good.
And it's good as well because, with Watkins now, obviously, he can play centre for them. Obviously, they've had a bit of injury to the back line with Sevo out.
They brought the young lad in from Australia who's the centre.
But he's not made squad this week.
But it gives him a bit more cover than Dixon. I know Hanley's had to play centre for him a couple of times. That shouldn't happen with Watkins there. He can now Phillidick obviously can do a job at second row and things like that.
I think he'll play second row.
Possibly. Final bit is that McDonnell is also, I think this is like a 3-week loan or something.
Yeah.
And McDonnell is at Oldham. I think that was announced at some point last week, so I think he was there for another 2.
Yeah.
He played in the, was it semi-final of the 1895 Cup?
Yeah.
That he played in this week. This weekend. So he's already played one game. Obviously, this was announced on the Thursday. We recorded the podcast on the Monday.
Do you think that this is because he can't go to other Super League teams or something? Why do you think he's gone to Oldham? I know Oldham were putting together a package for him as a bit of a rogue shout for the end of the season. But why do you think he's gone to Oldham? Is it just keep him local and he doesn't have to move out, I suppose?
There's plenty of clubs he could have done that to. Like, he could have gone to Lee. Lee have apparently got money on the cap.
No, they've got a quarter spot.
They've got a quarter spot. Do Saints have a quarter spot?
Don't know.
But
I don't know how it works because with Horrell situation.
anyone you could actually think he could fit in at might be competing with Salford down the bottom of the table.
Well, maybe. I don't know. It just seems weird that he's gone to Oldham, one of the better players for Salford.
Yeah, right. It's just a weird one that's going on at the minute, and I think obviously there's no. I think the worrying thing is, obviously, I know you might have spotted about this last week, lads, but there's the news with the owners. There's meant to be an injection of cash, but the club's not seeing the cash. The players don't know what's going on, so they're refusing to play. Watkins was someone who, I don't think if it was confirmed, but he was rumoured to be one of the ones who refused to play against us.
It was never confirmed, but he was the 2 out of the 17-man squad that didn't play, and they had to bring 2 kids in.
Yeah, so people, put 2 and 2 together. Allegedly, we don't want them if nothing's been confirmed, do we, to say what's going on in this podcast, but it just doesn't look good, does it? You can't. It's 1 step forward and 2 steps back, isn't it? You hear good things and that they've got new investors. Fantastic! It can be over. No money. Great! Now we're back in the same. No players are leaving. No players for you to play. No, the players haven't been paid again, and it's just for God's sake.
With that, Lewis, it's not even 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's no steps forward, no steps back. They're not actually doing anything now.
No, but every week that goes by is a step back.
It's just a story.
Because you're getting because you're in the news again for bad. Like I was saying before, Lee could make themselves indispensable to the league. Salford are going the other way.
Yeah, they're causing themselves a real issue, really. And how long does that go on? How long does the circus go on? If you're, like I said, we're not going to really dive into it because it's all rumours at the moment, but we will do a talk about it at some point with the NRL investment and all this different stuff, and then the RFL bringing Nigel Wood back and all this. So much is going on. Which one of them is going to want Salford doing all this? Really?
Well, there's rumours, again, while we're talking about it, there's rumours that apparently Catalan could be under threat as a club.
Yeah.
Right, no, again, we don't want to talk about this because it's all rumours at the minute. Nothing's necessarily been confirmed. But at the minute, Catalan are trying to spread the game in the country. They're bringing through great French talent, which is trying to make the French international side a lot better, a lot competitive, where we only have one kind of really competitive Northern Hemisphere team in England. Like, they've got a good fan base. They've got an owner who pumps money in, and they bring all the superstars from the NRL. All right, we made the joke before that. Obviously, they're always over 30 or whatever, but they are big
for
names.
The Roosters.
Who play for the Roosters, but they do bring in big names. Surely, they, as a club, are better to have in your product at the minute than what's going on at Salford.
And they've made a few finals.
Negative do they bring?
Exactly.
Well, so the arguments here are, number one, France has never competed with England. Okay, fine. Why is that why is that Catalan's fault?
Either Scotland, Wales, and
No.
whoever.
Also, the other 11 clubs, and I'm including Wigan in this, would then therefore be responsible for England's setup, and they haven't competed with Australia for years. It's black and white the last time we competed with Australia. So how can you hold them responsible to the French national
team? And let's get something straight as well with the England setup. How long has England relied on Wigan, Saints, Bradford, and Leeds to produce talent?
Let's bring another English club into the top division, because that'll make us beat Australia.
Exactly. Or let's get Catalan and Toulouse into Elite One, which is a semi-pro league essentially.
Yeah.
because that'll make France compete with England. No, it won't. All that will happen is you'll drag Catalan and Toulouse down to their level.
People will start watching.
You can't have two teams go in there and bring 10 others up. They'll go sink to that level. I guarantee it.
That's where I come with the NRL investment that's been rumoured. They won't just suddenly make 6 new teams.
No.
That just won't happen.
No.
They'll take 10, 12, however many, and then they'll slowly drip feed.
I'm a bit torn because on the one hand, I would like a very strong 12-team French competition with Catalan and Toulouse at the heart of it. But on the other hand, I also want Super League, if it's going to be called Super League or whatever it's going to be called, to have teams from other countries. Because that's more interesting for people to watch.
The New Zealand Warriors are a massive success at the moment in the NRL.
They sell out, but so do Catalan. That's why they're doing it at the stadium.
My point being is what would you do if you said to New Zealand Warriors, yeah, you can't play in the NRL, you've got to go play in a New Zealand Cup? That would kill them. This has the potential to kill Catalans.
It wouldn't make a New Zealand comp worth watching. It would make New Zealand Warriors not worth watching.
I genuinely believe it could kill Catalan. If you suddenly put them down, there's no competition.
It might not kill them, but
they'll be semi-pro within 4 years.
The French national team would have to have players who are semi-professional, or players that play all their games in England. And then what's the point? What's the point?
I genuinely can't believe some of the things
Why wouldn't you want Super League to be across 2 countries? Why wouldn't you want it to be across 3 countries, 4 countries?
Brian McDermott said on a podcast I was watching, again, go back and referencing the ATO League podcast quite a bit this episode. But I watched one with him and he gets a lot of sticking for being a bit of a moaner, whinger, whatever, when he was coaching Leeds and so on and so on, the rest of it. But he made a very good point about it. He said, if we want, look, the TV deal at the minute, obviously this was before, obviously we had Sky Sports Plus and every Super League game getting shown on TV. But he said, if we really want to expand our product and get it out there, we can't keep on having the same teams, competing for the same trophies, doing the same stuff every year, and just thinking it's going to bring, well, all of a sudden it'll just bring up massive viewership and we'll get a better TV deal. Like, we've got to offer something different. And I think, again, expansion projects, going to Vegas, spreading the game, trying to get Catalan involved.
Catalan wanted to take a game to Paris. That's brilliant.
So the meeting between officials from Wigan and Catalan met this week to discuss taking the game as a double header, taking the game to Paris next season.
That's just...
And because I think they're redoing Gilbert Brutus.
They don't. Why is no...
Again...
Maybe not. Why is not? Maybe I'm not giving enough respect to the clubs, but why is it the minority thinking like this? Why is everybody else wanting to keep this M62 corridor going? Why do we not?
I don't think it is.
We all keep trying to say we want to expand the game, but nobody actually, when push comes to shove.
But I think the fans do. The NRL clearly do. The successful clubs of Britain tend to.
I'm going to add 2 things to that. Danson and Simon Moran have apparently had a meeting over in Vegas with the NRL. I'm glad it's them 2 though, and there's a reason them 2 were in Vegas.
Well, the billionaire and
the major
music promoter, and along with the league that's expanding to 20 teams because they can't keep up with how many people want to play the game and watch the game.
We started this podcast and it's called the Wigan Way Range. Do you remember that comment we got very early on? Oh, Wigan haven't always done it right and all this stuff. I can't remember who it was from, who we supported. And I said, no, I don't expect Wigan to get it right all the time. But Wigan will do what I think is right for the game. And you put it out in a tweet, I back Radlinski and I back Mike Danson. And if they say expansion is good and we need to do X, Y and Z, I will follow them through anywhere.
And I think we probably got it wrong with Toronto, with voting them out. And I think we possibly, we're on the wrong side of history there. And we won't make that mistake again.
Yeah, Toronto was difficult, COVID and everything that was going on.
But then St Helens voted back in the day to keep Toronto in the league. And are now, or it would seem, McManus would seem to be voting Catalans out.
Doesn't work for me.
I don't know why Catalan would be out of the league.
All I know is I back Radlinski and I back...
Well, you could try this at home. Make a pros and cons list of Catalan and Toulouse being in the league. Cons, away fans. Well, there's plenty of Super League teams that don't bring any away fans. You can't rely on them anyway.
But away fans, just take it off the conversation.
All right, another con. Sometimes there are live bulls running around the pitch.
To be fair, that did get rugby league in the news, and bad press is good press as it goes on.
But like you said, like there is no cons. The con is, and I'm not accepting away fans as a con because most people go as a day out or plan your holiday around it.
Yeah,
and you can't get away fans at half the teams anyway.
Yeah.
So
would you rather have in Super League Bernard Gouache, his Bulls or Bradford Bulls? The sausage magnate, Bernard Gouache, with his Harry Hill
What did you just call him? The sausage magnate?
That's not magnate. He's like sausage king of Catalan. He sells the most sausages in Catalan.
Okay.
You know, beef. He's in beef.
Beef sausages?
Yeah.
Sausages are bought. They come from pigs, not balls.
He makes beef sausages.
Beef sausages.
Yeah, he makes beef sausages. I presume pork sausages as well. I've not asked the man. He has a big collar on his shirt like Harry Hill.
Well, I've bloody pigs running around next then, man. Balls.
Are you taking Mickey? Is that actually
That's not his job. That's how he's made his money, selling sausages. Yeah, selling meat. He's the butcher king of
Kick him out.
Catalan.
Kick him out.
And he once gave him 2 thumbs down for a performance. They cut to him on Sky and he gave his team 2 thumbs down. That was he's just funny, isn't he?
Just thought you called the chairman of Catalan against a sausage magnet on the podcast.
Sausage magnate. Magnate.
Oh, wow.
Magnate.
This podcast has slipped down on it.
No, that's what he's a butcher. He's the butcher king of Catalan.
You remember when Man at Match used to get a Papa John's?
No, that wasn't the worst. What about when 12 people were on the side of an Eddie Stobart lorry? And they only did 12, and that was instead of being...
Imagine if Catalan's got a TV deal and the Man of the Match just won some sausage.
Well, that's probably what he gives them if they perform well.
Man at Match at Lee gets a piece of decking from Derek Bond or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It has to be linked to the owner. So Man of the Match at Wigan gets a copy of the New Statesman magazine.
Yeah.
What did they get at Warrington? Tickets to the Lathams.
Should I finish off this news section anyway, because it's going a bit long, so we need to get it back on track. Right, we're going well sticking with that actually started off on talking about Salford and their financial troubles. Another club with financial troubles is Cornwall.
Well, they haven't got any financial troubles anymore.
Well, no, because they've got no finance.
We shouldn't laugh, really.
You can't have any money problems if you've not got any money. But
we shouldn't laugh. Cornwall...
No, they shouldn't. It's not funny. They've got bust.
Cornwall gone bust. And it never worked, did it? As an experiment... So it was an experiment. So this is the guy who owned a team in Hemel Hempstead, moved it to Canada, then that didn't work, so moved it to Cornwall. Look, I think you just got to stick it out. You just got to stick it out somewhere.
There's a thing for expansion.
None of them have worked.
I know we've talked about expansion and whatever. You can't be reckless with it. You can't just suddenly say we're going to put a team in Dubai. Right, and then expect everyone to fly to Dubai. Right, it's just not going to
Not
work.
in League One.
Yeah.
Oh, who we got next week? Rochdale Hornets. Who have we got the week after? Dubai Daredevils away. Imagine that.
But you get my point though. Toronto had to cover the flights for the League One, for Championship, and then it obviously
flying to Toronto and driving to Cornwall probably at the same time.
It can't be too much too soon, can it? It's got to be level.
There's got to be a steady thing.
Yeah.
And we're just relying on 2-week loans from Super League and Championship clubs, I think.
And the point is it's not everyone travelling down to Cornwall. You can do it once.
It's them.
They've got to travel all the way back up every other week. It just becomes too much. Get a couple of teams in London. One on, I don't know.
One in Fulham. They used to be on in Fulham, didn't they?
And expand outwards.
Another one in London. It seems like there's lots of clubs in the grassroots in London at the minute. You know, the Leland Twins were talking about that. Or Leyland Twins, I don't know how you say it. They were talking about how many clubs they've got. I think they were at one called Kent Panthers or something. Like there's a league in London now for below League One. You know,
there's a good. I think they played Leeds in Challenge Cup. Was it London Chargers or something like?
Oh, that is a team. They're like South London Chargers or West London Warriors, something.
It's something like that.
Willie Porchin's like plays from. I think that's what I mean. There's like 8 or 9 teams in London or surrounding area. Yeah, Southern Conference it's called.
Conference, but and that's got some London teams in it and stuff. So there's definitely potential Earth to get London.
That's
That's
what-
the next big thing.
that's really
we need
what-
a good team.
Yeah.
Representing Capital City for me.
Yeah.
That's going to be.
Gus Gould said they need 2.
Yeah.
Said they need 2 in London.
Well, that's what they've done with Brisbane. Brisbane is such a big thing that they then had to keep
They
expanding.
put Dolphins in.
The Dolphins in who are Brisbane
They
affected.
do want to give the Dolphins a geographical name, you know. They've said they want to give the Dolphins a geographical name, whether it's
Redcliffe Dolphins,
Redcliffe or Moreton Bay or South Queensland or something. I think they want to give. I mean, we're off topic again now, but I think they want to give the Dolphins a geographical name.
Well, my point is I do think they have to invest heavily in London for the Broncos and then try and bring another team in. You have to get some foothold first. You'd have 6 teams, but they might all be rubbish. You have to get...
But then the question becomes: do you call? You're never going to change Brisbane Broncos' name. You're never going to call North Brisbane Broncos. If you put a team in Christchurch, would you change the name of New Zealand Warriors?
No.
I suppose it has been Auckland Warriors in the past.
New Zealand Warriors is... it's
My question is, say London Chargers, for example, or South London Chargers, whatever they're called, West London Warriors, Hammersmith, whoever it is, gets put into League One. Would you then change the name of London Broncos
No, I'd keep that.
to like, I don't know, whereabouts is Wimbledon? Is that, whereabouts in London is that? I don't know.
Well,
Say it's in North London, I don't know if it is, but say, do you make them the North London Broncos?
well, I'm just going to say, going off this thing of apparently the Brisbane Broncos are looking at buying London. If you had the the London Broncos, and there's a partnership there, they're owned by
Would you
two
make them
major
wear
names.
maroon and gold?
It's-
Good question, that, isn't it?
Wait till the ball.
So do you get? Here's one for you then. There's already a wheelchair rugby team in London in the top division, London Roosters.
Mm.
Do you have the Roosters come and buy them, or make them into a team for the running game? Then you've got the 2 London teams linked to the 2 NRL teams.
Two major cities in Australia.
London Roosters,
Yeah, there's options.
London Roosters, London Broncos. They've got.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much here,
Well, that's what. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
but if Brisbane bought them, that'd be brilliant. You have the London Broncos partner with the Brisbane Broncos, the 2 major cities.
But as for Cornwall, an experiment that failed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is what you've got to think about. And I think this is what people are thinking about when it comes to expansion. They've failed recently. But then that's no reason to remove the only successful expansion team
This is
from
the thing, isn't it? We have to. It's not just about, right, well, it doesn't work, so we're just going to stop trying. You need to learn from the failure and try again. So if it's, you know what, Cornwall's a little bit too, it was too far away, it wasn't foreseeable, to travel for the League One teams was too much. They didn't have the finances there to travel, stop in a hotel, or whatever it might be. So we need to try now. So let's again take one a little bit closer. Could we maybe get a team in Birmingham going that isn't too far away, you know, from the M62 corridor, whatever it might be? Or can we get, I don't know, something, maybe a lot of investment in Newcastle, or, you know, just somewhere not, you know, and learn from it and go again.
Coventry was for a while, was a team in Coventry.
Coventry
They've kind of
Bears.
got Midlands now, called Midlands Hurricanes.
Midland Hurricanes now and stuff. But yeah, like stuff like that and get it going and see what we can do from there, you know.
I mean, though, touch wood, those seem to be, you never hear many financial troubles about them, or Newcastle really, as expansion.
Well, Newcastle was on the up at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's died down a little bit now.
We don't focus on that, like when they had O'Carroll as boss, and then he got poached. But we don't hear much about that now. We do hear about the expansion projects that fail, but the most successful expansion project ever in this Northern Hemisphere is Catalan Dragons. They've won the Challenge Cup. They've been to the Grand Final twice.
I'll be honest.
They've won the League Leaders' Shield. They are the most successful expansion team in Northern Hemisphere.
The thing I like about Newcastle, the thing I like about York, is we actually not heard anything. And now
news is
that
good news.
now
No
there's
news is good
just
news, yeah.
a club.
Some of the Cumbrian teams we've heard bad news about. You know.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if they're ready to say, let's shove you in the Super League and let's do this. They might not be ready for that. But if they say, if the NRL comes in and they look at it and they go, listen, in 10 years' time, we're going to move you up to Super League, start building, start getting your infrastructure right, we'll support you.
It's a tough one, isn't it? We'll have to see what
No
they do
news is good
if
news
they come
for-
in, but
Right, shall I do these last 2 news stories to finish off this segment?
please.
So, nice and quick, these ones. Thompson, as I'm sure people listening to the podcast will already know by the time this goes out, he's not in the squad for the Hull KR game. We've heard it is a calf strain that's going to keep him out for around about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes. Bad news.
We have heard bad news. We'll probably do a little bit of talking and previewing the whole KR game and talk about which we missed that is, but obviously, just a prop.
You're going to have to deal with
Test match prop, isn't it? He's going to be a miss for any team.
He is.
You're going to have to deal with it, though, aren't you? And we have to deal with it.
It's a squad game. I've got faith in Liam Byrne to take up that number one. He's done it before, hasn't he?
Liam Byrne
number
will
one
step in.
prop
You think
role.
this might give more minutes for a guy like Harvey Hill, who apparently had a fantastic pre-season. He's had a couple of games, been in and out. They kind of with Walters taking like a bench spot there. He's been playing at the minute. He's been in and out in a couple of games, but
there's going to be a bit of a scramble because I'm assuming that Ethan Havard and Luke Thompson are going to be fit at the same time.
Yes.
There's then going to be a bit of a scramble for the bench prop spots. This is your chance to make yourself that player that gets that spot.
100%. This is where, a young lad's like Harvey Hill, where is he, 21? This is how you get your chance. Unfortunately, your chance comes when somebody else gets injured, and you've got to step up and you've got to account for yourself.
And you were saying before, Lewis,
I think he will.
It says a lot that we've sent 2 props on loan, and we've kept Harvey Hill at the club to fulfil this role as backup, and he's played.
So talking about Chan and Essie.
Yes, who
are actually older than him.
Yes,
was my point. So I would actually think we would send the younger lad out on loan to build the experience and keep the older 2 props because they've got a bit more experience and a bit older, a bit more mature, a bit more like again size, development, everything like that.
We've not done.
And we've not done. We've actually sent the older ones out and said, actually, I'm going to trust a 21-year-old Harvey Hill, the 21-year-old kid, to be the guy if someone does get injured. Like we do have a bit of a we're currently got now with both Thompson and Havard being out. I'm going to put my faith in Harvey Hill to step up. So it does say a lot about him, I think.
I just wrote it down then. There's still 5 Super League ready props.
Yes.
There's not many clubs that you can take your 2 best props out of.
Well, there's the 2 props that play Test match.
Yeah.
Test match rugby.
You still sat with Dupree, Byrne. Dupree's an England international. Byrne, Ireland international.
As everyone in every commentary has ever mentioned within 3 minutes of coming on.
Sam Walters, who's ripped it up. Harvey Hill, who's looked really exciting.
Walters for me is a bolter for the Ashes. He's a chance for me. If he plays well the rest of the season.
I think he's definitely in squad.
He's a chance for me.
And Mego, who all 5 of them get into most teams.
Just quickly on the Ashes, we did speak about the Ashes. I saw somebody today mention the Exiles as a potential warm-up game. I don't think England are going to play a warm-up game. The Exiles would be genuinely competitive if we did it now. I know they were then because we lost a couple of times to the Exiles.
Yeah, we had the Combined Nations All-Stars.
See, that was when it went wrong. The Combined Nations All-Stars.
I just had England to B players.
Well, Jake Connor played for the Commies, didn't he? He was representing the West Indies or something.
But again, that was another example of something that failed once and we just got rid of it. Everyone forgets we had a state of origin. We binned it off after 2 years. We binned Exiles off after. Well, then we binned France off. Then we went to
Exiles were actually beat us a couple of times. I remember Exile beat us with Dana Medeiros as captain.
But then it got to the point where teams were. The players were injured for a couple of weeks around the Exiles time or whatever. So there
were a couple of big injuries in Exiles game. McIlaurin got injured in Exiles game, and then everyone turned on it. Luluai did. Everyone turned on it then.
But then you come out of that, and you go to the Combined Nations, and then everyone moves away from that. And then we're at France now. Everyone wants to move away from France to go back to Origin. I'd just stick with something.
Just do them all. There's too many weeks in the regular season. Do them all. That's the only way England are going to get better.
Yeah.
Do Lancashire, Yorkshire, play the Combined Nations All-Stars, don't call them that, but play the Combined Nations All-Stars, play France, whatever. Play Home Nations combined team. Maybe not. The England Knights can play them. But that's the only way we're going to get better.
Yes.
27 rounds is too many Super League rounds.
More high-standard rugby.
You talk about owners not wanting to remove the 3 loop fixtures, the 3 extra home games. I get that. But again, are we just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again until the league goes bust?
Yeah.
Or are we going to try and do something different?
We need to, don't we? It needs club value.
And nothing, and I mean this with everything, nothing will be better for the game than England being incredible at rugby league. That's the best way we can grow the game. That's the best way we can get more eyes on the product in England is by the national team being competitive against the big boys, getting close to winning the World Cup, playing these test matches. We've seen the Ashes tickets have flown off. How many people do you know who don't follow rugby league that much want to go to Everton?
Yeah.
Want to get tickets for Wembley?
Best case scenario.
Want to watch it on BBC? Every time England play on BBC, I get messages from people who are football fans, cricket fans, American football fans, whatever. Good game that, watching on BBC. Good game that, England and New Zealand. Want to try that? Was from Oliver Gildart. Didn't know he played for Wigan. Back in the day. That the only way is by England being good consistently on BBC.
How good would it be if England won the first game of this Ashes? It'll be on every news thing, every headline. It'll be all over BBC News, Sky Sports.
2 years ago, I did the maths, and it won't have changed. I looked up the number of test matches played by Harry Kane, Ben Stokes, Owen Farrell, and Elliot Whitehead. And I don't know the exact numbers, but they all started their careers in roughly the same time of year, roughly the same year, and they've all been mainstays for England up to that point. I know Whitehead doesn't play so much anymore, Owen Farrell doesn't play so much anymore, but those four had all played, unless they were injured, they were playing for England. And Stokes had played over 100 games for England. If I just count test matches, it was 50 or 60. Harry Kane, more. Farrell, 50. Whitehead was down at 20. And that was pretty much all the test matches, unless he missed one or two with injury.
Yeah.
So, England don't play enough. Those other three sports have got interest in their international game, more than their club game, but interest in their international game. That's where they get the eyes on the product. Test matches. We don't play enough test matches.
Yeah.
You want to include Lancashire and Yorkshire as a kind of thing, yeah, fine.
Still got to play more test matches.
But we still got to play more test matches. Play test matches against France. Okay, fine. Play one against the Exiles. Fine. Play 3 test match series at the end of the year. That's what you should do. All that.
I think that's the thing that's
it's
going to
not
be
a one or the other,
isn't it? It's going to be having the competition, isn't it? I think I get what you said, and I do completely agree with you. But I think go watching England, I don't know, batter France every year.
Or Wales,
or Wales or Scotland or whatever, and that's why the Ashes is so big. It's the first time we need England versus Australia, England versus New Zealand, England versus Samoa, England versus Tonga. 3-match test series, like really competitive fixtures that get out of the products. It's close games, it's physical games. It's not just but England are massively above France in terms of level of rugby, so they're going to batter them every time.
And I suppose
I do get what you mean.
I suppose that is the problem with cricket as well. As we follow cricket quite closely. We both play it. England, Australia, and India. When those 3 teams play each other, it's big. It's big deal.
And it's rivalries, isn't it?
That's not.
I'm not. You two play cricket. I'm not the biggest fan of it, right, personally, and you know that. But
you were excellent for our junior team.
I know, but I kind of did that because I was all right, and then I realised I can't catch, and it went downhill. But I'll watch the Ashes.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? Because it's the Ashes. It's the rivalry. It's got that special kind of thing where it's like
England
everyone's
versus
talking
India.
about. People are talking about. We've seen the story, keeping up with the cricket or whatever. And even if he's just keeping up with the score, looking at it, even if you don't watch the game, just looking at. I'll look on BBC News Sport, just set what the score is, how England getting on in the Ashes.
What golf event does everybody keep up with? Not other than the Masters, the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, the Ryder Cup.
The Ryder Cup. That's international.
Yeah.
Closest thing got to international golf.
Yeah.
Just more games, more internationals.
We need more internationals. We do.
It is.
Right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with a couple more stuff to do.
Flanagan extended at Huddersfield.
So at the start we teased a little bit about what we're going to do, and now we're going to ask for some involvement from you guys listening. We're going to put the post out on Twitter again. Get in touch on social media for your thoughts. But we're going to talk a little bit about cult heroes. Now, just to be clear on this, a cult hero is someone that you love, someone that was special, the fans adored, who might not be the greatest player.
No.
So you can't just go and say...
Didn't get the headlines.
Yeah, you can't say Sam Tompkins. You can't say Bevan French.
Out of the current team, you can't have Bevan French or Junior Nasemba or...
Field.
You can have Paddy Mago.
Yeah.
Out of the current team, or you can have Tyler Dupree. Somebody like that.
Who's got a really good following, everyone loves him, but might not be the standout name. So if you're going back in time, you're not going to give me Billy Boston.
Cade Ellis among our friends.
Yeah. You're not giving me the
You
best
can't
players
tell
of
me
all time.
Jason Robinson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
Which somebody did say.
we looked at the 2010 year.
Yeah, we thought we'd give ourselves some parameters.
Yeah, just to not go through all the entire time of...
I think 2010 has got the most cult heroes
Yeah.
as a ratio.
So we've picked who we believe is the cult hero, then we've also picked one of our own. And
Yeah.
the cult hero everyone knows of is Piggy Riddell.
Matt Riddell. Yes.
Now,
Let's just tell some. Let's just tell Matt Riddell stories.
the best one, it has to be the army camp.
The army camp. Yeah,
Sam
It's
Tompkins.
a Sam Tompkins story, that isn't it? We don't want to appropriate Sam's story, but
Yeah, but day 2, day 3, refusing to get up.
just didn't go to bed.
Sam's getting a little bit of a telling off from Madge and the guys for not getting him up. And Michael Maguire, you know what he's like, known for his temper.
Hard nose would be the
Yeah.
word to describe Michael.
Very intense guy.
He's intense, yeah, he is intense.
Goes in to speak to him, and when he's asked him why he's not getting up, it's because, as my coach, you've got a duty of care to me, and then snuggled up back in bed, middle of the army camp.
Yeah.
Maguire tells them all not to speak to him,
Don't
not to
speak
look
to
at
him in the pub. Yeah,
and that carried on.
that's a good story. What about his try celebrations back in Australia? His best one was when he ran into the crowd and clapped his own
Yeah,
try.
he jumped over there.
That was the
advertising
best
audience,
one,
and
yeah.
he sat down and started clapping him. So
That was his best one. Did he do one where he was bowling and all the
Yeah,
players were pins? Was that him?
Yeah, he
Or-
bowled the ball. His famous kicking routine.
Oh, it's kicking routine. Yeah, for his using his left arm for aim.
Yeah. And not being a great kicker either.
No.
someone once told me it was a technique thing. I don't know how true this is. It was a technique thing that makes sure apparently his left shoulder doesn't drop.
Well, it's a
Or
good
whichever
point.
one it well, I can't remember whichever he used to do it with. I think it was left, but made sure basically to make sure if he didn't like kind of drop, it would pull the kick. So he made sure he was always up straight to try and kick it straight. Or something.
I met him several years later. He was doing radio for a match in Wollongong at Wynn Stadium. And I had, at the time, it was the purple and black away kit.
Yeah.
Remember that? And I had that on. And I was delighted to see him. Obviously, it was only 3 years after. It must have only been 3 years after. And we went up to speak to him. And he thought we were Melbourne Storm fans. He didn't want to talk to us. And then when he saw the badge, he realised we were Wigan supporters. And he had a good chat with us, about how he liked playing for Wigan. And I don't think he told quite that story about the army camp, but he mentioned Michael Maguire as being a tough coach, but he was rewarding.
Mm.
So he's got to be, Matt Riddell, he's got to be the main
He's got to be the cult hero.
figure I think of from that team. But we have picked another
I
one.
would say when I think about him, the grand final, obviously Richards had gone off injured, and the game was sort of won.
It was goal kicking. I don't think it was one.
And do we not only taking 2?
We took 2 and missed. Sam took 2 as well and missed, I think.
Yeah.
When Piggy went off again. Matt
Yeah.
Gorham started the game.
Towards the end of the game, I think we took 2 and he Piggy. was
We did get
taking it,
one. We got one.
and everyone was behind giving it the shake.
Shaky arm. So your shoulder doesn't drop. We
Yeah.
know now.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know how true that is, but apparently that's what I heard once. Certainly, his shoulder didn't drop.
It sounds right, so
It
we'll
was
go with
a
that.
Let's go with it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right, so we've all picked one of our
Picked
own,
another
who was our cult hero.
And it's from that team as well.
Yeah. Matty, who did you go?
I went with Harrison Hansen.
Good player.
Yeah, good player. I don't know if necessarily he's a cult hero. He was just a great player. But I suppose he was underrated.
He was a real workhorse, wasn't he?
He worked really, really hard and he never put a foot wrong. And the memories I have for Harrison, that jump out straight away, when he scored those tries against Leeds, when he had the grey cap, well, it was grey at the start, and
Yeah.
it turned red, because he was bleeding through the scrum cap. That's what jumps out to my mind straight away when I think of Harrison, just putting shots on people.
Talk about Harrison, like, there were so many good second rows that we had around that time.
Yeah.
Joel, Gazok then came back, Ryan Hoffman came the year after, Liam Farrell comes through, and Harrison just gets a little bit, doesn't really get the credit he deserves.
No, and then he went on to have a good career at Salford, and is he still playing?
Played at Toulouse, I think.
He was playing at Toulouse.
He definitely played last
He
year.
definitely played last
Up
year.
to an old age as well. I don't know if he still is, but he was. I remember
He was
we were
captain
going
last
for-
year. I don't know if he's finished this time, but he was captain
He
in
must have
2024.
been late.
late 30s.
30s, you'd imagine. Yeah.
Reaching 40 now.
Yeah, he did come through. Did we sign him for another Super League? I don't remember. Wakefield, maybe. I don't remember. But he was a great workhorse for us and underrated.
8 out of 10 every week.
Oh, yeah, underrated player in that team.
Yeah. Lewis, who's your cult hero?
Bit of a, I'm not really sure, maybe listeners might give me a bit of stick for this because it just counts as a cult hero, but if we're going for that 2010 team, I went George Kermon, who was a superstar centre in himself, but I think again, probably Sam Tompkins, Pat Richards would probably get the more kind of star status at that time. It wasn't that the year Pat Richards won Man of Steel in 2010. Yes. And obviously Tompkins, Maguire switched him to full-back when he was getting like some stardom there, he was playing kind of 6 full-back role. But Kermon, I think Richards got so much credit. Don't get me wrong, a fantastic player, he's alright, but I think he was lucky to have someone like Kermon to the side of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kermon is cult hero status just because, first of all, he had an injury every single game and played through it, carried on playing. And also he had the story of having no NRL teams wanting him and he was going to chicken farming.
Yeah.
And then the NRL came calling back and he played for some more that year and then moved to Wigan. So, yeah, I do think Kermon, he's got lots of interesting stories behind his career. And he was another one who was
a while at Wigan.
Yeah, he did play a while at Wigan. He was one of my favourites when I was a kid, definitely.
I think as well for me on personally, when I started, that was probably about the time I started getting into rugby and playing it. And I did a little bit, probably started off as a centre before I moved into the second role, loose forward and stuff like that. But, so obviously looking at him being a centre or someone
classy
you would mirror your game off. He wasn't a big athletic centre as well, whereas normally again in Super League, English ones can be quite small. He was more like a kind of Keith Senior. He was like big and muscular and athletic and good athlete.
Yeah, good player.
Who's yours, Jukesy?
You just sort of mentioned it. Obviously that year Sam went to full-back round Easter. I think it was Easter Monday.
I believe it was, yeah.
But my pick is Amos Roberts. Now for a 12 game spell.
I called him Man of Steel after 12 weeks.
I called him myself after about 3. Like he was something different. He was something we'd never seen that at fullback really over here at Wigan. Not to that level of frightening pace. And when he came, I think he came in 08. He wasn't really setting the world alight. He played on the wing a bit.
He played on the wing.
I remember getting dropped for a spell, and then he came back.
Richards was playing centre. It was a weird time.
Yeah, and then from Maguire comes out of the army camp. We play a pre-season friendly. And Roberts is at full back.
You just think, wow, where has this lad been?
And he was frightening pace. And like you said, 5, 6, 7 games in, I'm going, this guy's going to walk Man of Steel.
I think if it were on the current system, he'd have been on, double-figure points after 4 or 5 weeks.
And the point being is, and this is why he gets cult hero rather than being a great at Wigan, is he only played them 12. He hits the post at home against Wakefield. I can still see it to this day.
Not with the conversion, but actually runs into the ball because he's getting tackled.
And I remember just thinking, why is he running towards the centre?
Well, here's an interesting thing. Amos Roberts runs into the goalpost and shatters his knee or whatever he did. Meaning Sam Tompkins has to move to fullback. Now, I don't know if this move was on prior to Amos crashing into the post. It certainly sped it up.
Yeah.
But Sam had been playing 6. And when Sam moved to fullback, we said before that changed the way fullback is played in the UK. And I stand by that.
I think Roberts had started it.
Maybe. Roberts was kind of playing that way.
That role at fullback was different than we'd ever seen. Now, Roberts only did it for 10, 12 games, whatever it was. Then Sam comes in and does it for the next 3 years.
But the superstar that is Sam Tompkins probably still would have been a superstar at 6.
I think Michael Maguire's got to get a lot of credit for it. Taking the Australian kind of style and bringing it to English game where you got full-backs at the time like Paul Wellens, Sean Briscoe, and people like that who just like take a carry, no defensively for making tackles, defusing bombs.
Make your passes.
I suppose Brent Webb was doing it sort of, but he was a bit more of a hybrid, wasn't he, between the English sort of full-back. He was dynamic.
Yeah.
And he was a bit dynamic, but he didn't quite do the same
This
things.
idea of looping out the back and actually being an attacking threat rather than just taking drives and whatever from a full back, it's actually changed the game a little bit. Really. I think it's something Maguire brought. I mean, I think Maguire changed the English game quite a lot. I think that I think the three-man tackling,
The three-man wrestle,
come in a lot with under Wigan and Maguire. I think he brought a lot of Australia.
That would have come in eventually.
It would.
But Maguire went
I was going
first.
to say, Thingy at St Helens had just started it. His name's
Is he the one who went to Huddersfield?
and Brown.
Potter.
They just started bringing it in or whatever, but I always remember
They
listening.
had 3 Aussies in a row, didn't they? Potter, Anderson and Brown.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that order.
But I always remember listening to, we played Warrington at home on Sky, and when you went back and watched the commentary, Paul Cullen was on, and he's saying, like, look at the wrestle, and he timed it. Like, the average Wigan tackle was like 8 seconds.
Because the rest didn't know what to do, did they?
He just loaded it in, and then 1 peel off, 2 peel off, 3, and it just slowed the game down, and no one could deal with it. It was like, obviously coach coming in, he stepped the game forward, but he jumped it 5-6 steps ahead of everyone else, and it took time for people to catch up. And
But back to my question, do you think Sam is still the superstar if he stays at 6 his whole career?
yes,
Yeah, he probably would have been, wouldn't he?
I think he's known as something different, and he might develop, maybe not into a match winner like he is.
Probably more like a George Williams.
Yes.
He'd play 6 like George Williams does.
Yeah.
Interesting question, though. Because Amos, was looking incredible for that start of that season. And then to lose him, and then Pat Richards gets Man of Steel, Sam Tompkins gets Young Player of the Year.
Because we had a weird thing there, didn't we, that Deacon Kit was on the bench, really.
Yeah, Deeks was coming off the bench.
And
we were starting with Sam and Tommy.
Sam and Tommy would go and play a bit at 9.
Which meant that McIlaurin sometimes wasn't.
Yeah.
Or Riddell, or whoever. I know Riddell did quite a bit.
And then you come to the back end of the season, and you know what, it's worth mentioning, that Piggy was starting at 9, and usually McLaurin was on the bench. Grand final, they switched it.
Good choice. Best choice.
The stories you hear about that, about
the fact
Matt
that
Riddell, Madge telling Mickey to go after Graham and Roby.
Yeah, and 15 years later, we're still talking about that tactical decision in the grand final. Because it was such a big decision, and it was such a good decision to start with Mickey in that game.
And that's probably made Mickey's career as the type of player that he is. Defensively, workhorse.
The thing with Mickey is, if it's a big game, you want Mickey in.
Yeah.
And when there were a couple of times where Mickey dropped out on either the grand final or more in the grand final, and I remember walking to the ground or being in the restaurant before the game and just going, "Oh no, Mickey's not playing." Like that, and that was the one we lost against Leeds. I think.
You know what, it's worth talking about, because obviously we're playing against him next week. I remember big moments he always stood up.
Oh, he always does. He still does.
The grand final against Warrington when we're losing, he just goes from 9.
That was the key, and Tony Smith still talks about that try being the moment they lost.
He just stands in front of the crowd.
And we were losing at that point. And Tony Smith said that's the moment we lost the game, when we let McIlaurin score from there. And then Blake Green does the exact same thing off first receiver because they're too worried about McIlaurin.
Exactly.
So that's the moment he changed the game. Big moments, McIlaurin stood up.
Yeah. Right. Hope you've enjoyed our cult heroes.
I'll walk down memory lane. 2010 grand final.
Yeah. Send us in your
season.
Send us in your what's it called? Your cult
You
heroes.
don't have to be from 2010, but you can if you want.
Probably best of when you was a kid, when you first remember watching it, because that's when you have your real heroes.
I don't think that was
the
when
first name who wasn't the superstar you had on the back of your shirt. You know what I mean?
Oh, Cameron Phelps.
Was it for you?
Because I had Trent Barrett first. He doesn't count because he
wasn't called a hero as the superstar.
Cameron Phelps.
Yeah.
Remember Sean Marsh?
I used to get Cameron Phelps on. You know, they used to do face painting on you.
Yes.
And they did spell everybody's name wrong. Tompkins. He's put on people's.
Yeah.
I used to get Cameron Phelps face painted on him.
I remember loving Sean Marsh.
Phelps 23. No, Steph Marsh.
Steph Marsh.
Palliacina was always one.
Palliacina was a cult hero around that time. Phil Bailey. That was your mum's favourite, Phil Bailey.
Yeah. Geez.
Yeah, I remember being at Magic Weekend and hearing his Achilles snap. That was nasty. I will never forget that noise. No. Ever. No. That was a nasty one.
Oh.
What else were cult heroes?
Loads. There's loads of them through the years.
Paul Prescott.
Paul Prescott was a good forward. He was a good front rower. And he came through it like
You know what I love? And it's just hit me. Danny Tickle. And I used to watch it when he went to Hull and everything. I used to watch it every week. Every time Hull Road I was watching.
Even O'Carroll, he went to Hull the Barrel. That time we spent just just travelling the country, you know, on those free kids tickets
Yeah.
that we used to get as a season ticket holder. Travelling the country. I mean, there were some garbage sides that we followed.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed it.
Chris Tewson.
Oh, Chris Tewson, yeah.
And I will never forget him for that fight at
Magic Weekend.
And Lee Mossop defended him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
him from saying how we ended up with more people sent off this day, I'll never know.
We've watched that back recently, didn't we? And I would urge anyone to watch that back. I think there should have been. So Lou McCarthy definitely should have been in the sin bin. Hawk should have been in the sin bin, which I think is what happened.
Yeah.
Mossop deserved a red card. McGuinness deserved a red card. Tewson did nothing except get punched in the face.
Tewson was stood with his back to him, and McGuinness come behind him and punched him.
And Barry Chuckle, the linesman.
And then Tewson.
That McGuinness has copped him with Reek Gunnan.
But then Tewson just lays into him.
Yeah.
You throw a punch from behind, you deserve it.
Yeah, well, that was a good game, that. And there were some cult heroes certainly on that game. What was it on Steph Marsh's team? Who else did we have around then? Liam Carberry. Logan Tompkins.
Liam Colborne.
Colborne, yeah. I remember walking out of Headingley having got beaten 70-0. And one of the Leeds fans saying, because I was only a nipper at this point, saying to my dad, "You look like you've got a right player in that Liam Colborne. He looks like a good young winger to build around." And I remember, like, if I look back at it now, I think he was just trying to be nice.
Mm.
But that's so desperate for anything.
Sean Ainscough.
Yeah, Ains scored when he scored 5 tries.
I remember not kicking that ball dead. Was that playing for Batley, that?
That was playing for Rochdale or Batley. We didn't kick the ball dead. They lost.
They were the times. They were the times.
Some good names there we just thrown about.
Right.
That I could just name random Wigan players. Do you remember Oliver Wilkes? Oliver Wilkes would be a forward. What about Dennis Moran? Scrum half. Yeah, he was probably, when Richards first joined, he was probably scrum half there. Dennis Moran. Kev Brown, when he fell over that ladder at Griffin Park and he went bright red. After that, they always had the felt ladder after that because he fell over the agility ladder. Kevin Brown, he got his feet tangled up in it. And then we lost against London.
They were the days.
Them were the days.
Right. We're going to end the episode there. Please send in your cult heroes. We'll put another post out. Send us in your favourite. You know what? You can send in your favourite Wigan team, your first Wigan team that you followed. What year did you start following Wigan?
What did they do in that year?
Yeah.
Were they any good?
Anything that stands out for you. Thank you for joining us, Matty, Lewis. Been a pleasure as always.
Nice one. See some of you at Hull Care, hopefully.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.